And the next game launching on the 11th was a very close contender for the Discord pick of the week, which it was just trailing behind by 1 vote. And this one is Final Girl Season 2. And as the name implies, this is for the second campaign, and the nice thing about this is all the Season 1 campaign backers have just received their games, so there's a lot of reviews going up and a lot of information, and you might even be able to find a copy for yourself if you want to try it and see if you want to jump in on Season 2. But I will warn you, this can easily become a very expensive game, especially for a solo experience. And the way that this game works is that there's a core box that contains all the core components and the core rule set of the game, and then you have all these different feature presentations that come in these different boxes, and they kind of are little spin-offs off of different horror tropes in the horror movie genre. And what those allow you to do is that you can actually choose a location and a killer from one of those boxes, and then you can mix that with any of the final girls from any of the other boxes. And the final girl is the character that you're going to be playing as, and you're the last hope against the killer. And as you can probably guess, if you've ever seen any horror movie in the history of mankind, I'm sure all of her friends were brutally murdered in idiotic and predictable ways. But that's in the past now, and it's up to you to prevent any future victims from falling to the killer and to try and take out that killer yourself. And once the game's set up, it'll look a little something like this, where you have your killer as well as your location, and then you have a few different metrics that you're tracking, such as your health, the time, and the horror track. The game plays over 5 different phases, and the first phase is the action phase. We're going to be playing different cards and rolling dice to determine the success level of those cards that you're playing. And the number of dice that you get to roll is completely dependent on where the horror track lies. If there is more horror, then you won't be able to roll as much dice, so you'll want to get that horror track down as much as possible so you're maximizing the amount of dice that you get to roll. You can see in this image as well that there's a bunch of little meeples out on the map. These are all potential victims of the killer, and you can actually go around and try to rescue these before the killer can get to them. And whenever you rescue one of those victims, you'll be able to put it onto your player card, and this will give you different upgrades depending on the icon that it covers. But of course, you are the final girl and you have a job to do, and you don't want to waste all your time rescuing people. So the other action you can do is to try and attack the killer. And then after the action phase, we have the planning phase. And you can also think of this as sort of a market phase because you'll be able to purchase cards. And the way that you do that is you'll be able to spend any remaining time that you had from the previous round in order to buy those cards. And you can spend all the time you have remaining because after this phase, your time will reset. And then after that phase, you have the killer phase. And this is the phase where you reveal a card and it lets you know what the killer is going to do. But then you're also going to reveal a terror card that can allow the killer to perform some additional actions and affect your terror track and have other negative consequences. And of course, the killer's intention is to try and kill as many people as possible, especially the final girl. And for this reason, it's no surprise the next phase is known as the panic phase. And if the killer was able to take out any victims, and there's other victims that were also in that location, they're going to panic and they're going to perform different movements depending on where they are. And then the last phase is the upkeep phase, where you normally don't have to do very much. You just do a little bit of cleanup and prepare for the next round. And the game continues like this until you've taken out that killer or completed your endgame objectives, or if the killer's taken you out. Surprisingly, I couldn't find too much info on Final Girl Season 2, but I don't think it's changing up the core game too much. I think it's just adding more of those feature presentations to the game and adding a little bit more variety, and also an opportunity to jump in on the game if you missed out on the previous campaign. And if you are interested in solo games, you'll definitely want to look into this one some more and click that Notify Me on Launch button. And if we zoom and enhance on this image here, it can give us a little bit of an idea of what we can expect. And this first box looks like it's going to be riffing on the Alien series, where we have an alien monster and a character that looks like the main character from the Alien movies. And then this next one has you fighting the organism in Station 2891, and I can't really see the image too well, but it kind of looks Lovecraftian. And then we have the intruders at the Wingard Cottage, and the image on the box kind of looks like a Wendigo, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then there's the big bad wolf in the storybook Woods, which has you fighting up against a werewolf. And then the last one puts you in one of my least favorite settings, which is a mental asylum. Please just throw me in the middle of the woods or the center of a crop circle. Just don't put me in a mental asylum. I'm not ready.